Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So we've got many topics to get into today, so we're going to get started right away with this headline from VGC. PS5 set a new US record for PlayStation console sales in the month of February. So basically, for the month of February, the PlayStation 5 has sold more than any other individual PlayStation system ever. And that would include the PlayStation 2. Generally, sales are down when you get into like January and February because you're coming off of that holiday season. And this data comes to us from the NPD group, who we've referenced before. They release these sales numbers, and they're a research group that measures how consumers shop. And you may be wondering why the PlayStation 5 sold more in this February than any other PlayStation system ever. Well, I think there's a couple of reasons. First, we have a pent-up demand from the hardware supply issues that seem to have finally been resolved. And then two, we had Hogwarts Legacy get released, which was the best-selling game in both February and the year to date. And Sony did have the exclusive marketing rights for Hogwarts Legacy, which probably helped to move those PlayStation 5 units. Now, these numbers are just for the US, but as we've seen in those Famitsu sales, it was a pretty big month for PlayStation 5 in February in Japan as well. So pretty good sales numbers for February, and I'm not sure what March will bring. I know on those Famitsu sales from Japan, the PS5 has kind of been on a downward trend, but I expect that to turn around as we get to some bigger releases. Next, we have a game controller patent that sort of made the rounds yesterday and had a bit of an update, but let's look at the headline here first from Game Rant. New Xbox controller that can store loadouts could be in the works. Now, when this article originally went up yesterday, it was reported that this was a Microsoft patent, but since then the article has been corrected that it was actually from Turtle Beach. So you may lose some of your excitement there, but I thought I'd cover it anyways in case you'd seen that initial report so you can kind of be corrected on who the actual manufacturer is. And we can take a look at this patent, and what's kind of neat about it is that it has a built-in touch screen. Now, the patent has some features listed that you can save custom loadouts, as well as connect to social media. Now, the patent mentions compatibility with external devices like mobile phones through an app of some kind, so that's probably how this social media connection thing works. Now, I'm not exactly sure what you would post to social media from your controller about, and as with most patent filings, this may not actually come to fruition. It may just be an idea that Turtle Beach has and they want to go ahead and get a patent on it, but when they start looking at the manufacturing costs and what it would retail for, they may back out of actually producing it. So we'll see if anything comes of this. I think it's kind of a neat idea. I did like how the Dreamcast had the VMU you could put in. You can use your controller to do things that you don't want to see on the main screen. Say if perhaps you're going to play a sports game and you want to make a call for a play, you can do that on the screen on your controller. I don't think we're going to see like a Wii U implementation where you could play the game on that screen, because the screen seems kind of small for that. But let me know what you think. Is this something you would be interested in, given that the price is decent, and what type of features would you like to see implemented on a touchscreen on the controller? And next we have the monthly games for PlayStation Plus for the month of April. Now, all of these will become playable on April 4th, and first we have Meet Your Maker for PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. And this seems to be a day one release, although I didn't see anything mentioned in the posting about this from the PlayStation blog site. However, the game is coming out on April 4th, so it seems to be day one. And the game is described as post-apocalyptic first-person building and raiding game where every level is designed by players. And the second game added is Sackboy: A Big Adventure for PS4 and PS5. And the PS4 version did have an 83 on Metacritic, and it's described as a 3D multiplayer platform adventure game. And then finally we have Tales of Iron for the PS4 and PS5, and this had an 81 on Metacritic for the PS5 version. And it's described as a hand-drawn RPG adventure with punishingly brutal combat. So let me know if any of these games interest you. I did play Sackboy back on the PS3, but I hadn't played any of the subsequent games, so that's probably a pretty good one there, or at least it has a pretty decent Metacritic score. And then next we have the games with gold for Xbox. So don't expect the same quality here. First we have Out of Space Couch Edition, which retails for $10. And this is going to be available April 1st through the 30th. And there's not enough reviews for a Metacritic review, but it does have 3 80s and 165. And it's described as a local and online co-op multiplayer game about living together in a house in space. And then the other game that we have here is Peaky Blinders Mastermind, and this retails for $25 and will be available April 16th through May the 15th. And this has a 76 Metacritic score, and it's described as an adventure puzzle action based on the BBC show. So honestly, I've never heard of any of these games, so let me know if there's any of them worth playing. Honestly, none of them really appeal to me, so I don't know if I'll even add them into my library. And it seems to me that Microsoft really needs to revamp games with gold, maybe make it a lower tier of Game Pass, charge a little bit more, but actually put some decent games in there. And then finally, we have the Famitsu sales coming out of Japan. First, let's take a look at the software sales. We have a few new entries here, starting with number 1. We actually have Resident Evil 4 for the PlayStation 5, actually outselling the PlayStation 4 version, which we don't see happen very often. There's a much larger install base for the PlayStation 4, so it seems to usually outsell a PS5 version. And then at number 3, we have another new entry, Atelier Ryza 3 for the Switch, followed by Kirby's Dream Land Deluxe at number 4. And then we have the PS4 version of Atelier Ryza 3, followed by Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and then at number 7, Atelier Ryza 3 for the PlayStation 5, which is what we normally see is that PlayStation 5 version coming in a bit lower because of the smaller install base. And then we round out the bottom of this list with perennial favorites, Splatoon 3, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and Minecraft. So a pretty good showing here for Resident Evil 4 and Atelier Ryza 3, which is a series I've been meaning to get into, but every time I go to look up the first one for, say, the Switch, it's always extremely high priced. So maybe I may just end up grabbing it digitally one day if it goes on a good sale. And now let's go look at the hardware sales. We have the Switch OLED model coming in first this week, followed by the PlayStation 5, and then the regular Switch, followed by the Switch Lite, and then the PlayStation 5 Digital Edition at number 5, and then the PlayStation 4 outselling the Xbox Series X and S combined. And then we still have the new 2DS LL in the back of some shelves somewhere. And let's take a look at the updated sales chart. You can see the Switch has been on a bit of a rise, while the PlayStation 5 has kind of gone down a bit over the last few weeks. And to me, that kind of leans into the theory of the pent-up demand for the PlayStation 5 and why it sold so well, because they had a whole bunch of them manufactured. You had Hogwarts Legacy coming out, and people just bought it like crazy. And I have a feeling we'll see the Switch continue to tick up, especially when we start to see those Tears of the Kingdom OLED models get added in. Although in the US, you can still find that pre-order available days after it went up, which kind of surprised me. I thought maybe it would sell out very quickly, but maybe they just produced a whole bunch more than they thought the demand would be for. And that's all we have for today. Did anything we cover catch your attention? And if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet, consider subscribing so you can get more of these videos into your feed. I want to thank you for watching, and be good.